Well, I'm joined by Alistair Audsley. Last time we talked to you, it was up the Shard and Al Jazeera, as you do. You do move in great circles, being a filmmaker, of course. But we've had this information, and John Rhys-Davies was very excitable when we saw him about telling us that yourself, Dave Armstrong and him are all getting together to create a Manx film industry. I think it was a studio he was talking about. So you're back on the Isle of Man. I know it's a flying visit, but I thought it'd be great to catch up with you to get the ins and outs of what's going on. A film studio.
Well. Firstly, thanks, Paul. Yes, it's a film production company that we're putting together, and it's really been born out of the fact that I've worked with Dave Armstrong now for several years, and in particular with The Watchmaker's Apprentice, the feature documentary which went out on Netflix. But also, I've been working with John Rhys-Davies in obviously various capacities, but primarily with John as an actor, and he's been very generously supportive of a particular project that I've been developing now for many, many years.
Which you no doubt can't talk about?
Sadly, the more interesting the stuff is that you're doing, the less you can talk about them. Yeah. So no, sadly, I can't really say too much about it at the moment. But
Will it be based on the Isle of Man?
Yes, very much so. It's very much about the Isle of Man, set in the Isle of Man in a particularly interesting period.
Fantastic.
In the island's history, and John is very much involved with that, and as is Dave Armstrong. However, I suppose it was through that we started to talk about the fact that I'd got several projects that I really wanted to try and develop and make through the island. Dave has several projects that he's wanting to develop and make in the island, and I'm a screenwriter producer. Dave is a director, writer, producer. In fact, I can't think of many things Dave can't do, which is quite annoying sometimes.
I've worked with him as well.
Yeah, really, really spectacularly, annoyingly talented guy. But and of course, John, aside from being an actor, and he doesn't talk about it very much, is also a very good writer as well. Right. And has, as you can imagine, an unbelievably deep well of knowledge about the industry. Obviously, some fantastic contacts and connections he's made over the years at the highest possible level. And so it just became one of those, epiphany moments where you say, hang on a minute. And in fact, we probably should have thought about it several years ago, but just suddenly realised, why don't we set something up here that can really coalesce the various projects that we're looking to develop? And when I talk about projects, I mean from drama features to television through to documentaries. And
so it is a film studio then, is it? I mean,
well, yes, technically. I mean, when you say the word film studio, it sort of evokes
sounds like Hollywood,
large sound stages and Pinewood, Shepperton, and all that kind of thing, which isn't quite where we are. But in terms of a film studio, i.e., as a development and production entity, then very much so. Yes.
And the Isle of Man Government Media Fund, that's something you can tap into or will be looking to? Or?
Well, I mean, they know what's happening, and certainly will be looking to work with whatever both financing and other supportive apparatus is available on the Isle of Man. We very supportive of the Isle of Media initiative, and it's fantastic that you've actually got a formal body now which is representing Isle of Man media at the main markets, and in particular, I think they've just come back from MIP in Cannes, which is one of the big media festivals, and so But I mean, what we're doing, it's a small entity. It's very much about our own projects at the moment, and hopefully, though, we'll be able to grow it.
Besides Mindhorn, which was done recently, about the Isle of Man, is that your plan? Will they look like the Isle of Man, or is it just a film that just happens to be made here? Because that's sometimes, well, most of the time, is what's happened in the past. It's made here, but there's no sort of pride in people going, oh, look at it, the Isle of Man.
Well, absolutely. I mean, the island is blessed with a very varied topography. I mean, it can play various different places, but our aim in particular is to try and develop a pipeline of productions which certainly feature the Isle of Man, might be about the Isle of Man, might be set in the Isle of Man specifically, and some which aren't completely,
Sure.
which are completely unrelated.
Now, is this a Netflix sort of avenue, or is it everything and anything that goes? Because I mean, there's so many opportunities now, isn't there, for product?
Well, there are indeed. I mean, when you talk about the likes of Netflix, Netflix is what's called a subscription video on demand, or SVOD channel, along with Amazon Prime, and they're arguably one of the most exciting and biggest growth areas. And I think that's going to continue over the next few years. I think it'll be very interesting to see what happens with Disney's plans over the next couple of years as well, since they acquired Fox. So certainly those are the types of companies that you're looking to sell product to, and potentially to raise finance as well.
What about talent here on the Isle of Man? People to make these films, besides you say that you're the three of you. I mean, the original wave, I mean, I worked on quite a lot of the films, and people just came in from everywhere.
Yes,
to get around the things, they were renting houses or making a postal address here because they could tap into whatever funds. But of course, they just go as soon as somewhere else the grass is greener. How do you make your thing work? Do you see a longevity to it, always, I suppose?
Absolutely. I think one of the prime imperatives is we want to try and develop a self-sustaining long-term ecosystem of film production in the Isle of Man. I mean, it's been an unresolved passion of mine. I had to effectively leave the island to start developing my career in film. For Dave, it's been a very practical passion because, I think he's done more than any individual to try and develop an Isle of Man film sector, to try and develop talent. I've been very, I've been honoured really to be able to play a part in, giving some of the seminars and so on and so forth as a screenwriter, and it's been brilliant to be able to take some of the experience that I have gained and to be able to bring that back into the island. But it is very much about training as well. As I say, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves here. I mean, we are three individuals who've come together. We have a certain ability to make things happen because we've got complementary skill sets. We're a way off employing loads and loads of people and from fulfilling our dream, but it is a realistic dream, and I think that with some of the projects we're looking to develop, I have my own in particular, which Dave is really helping me with, and John is helping me with, and I think if we could get that going, then it could have a profound impact.
And the people watching this who have a love of film, who want to get involved, is it too early to be picking the phone up to you, or just wait and watch this space?
It is, in all honesty, it is. Yeah, we've got a way to go because before I think it gets interesting to other people to start, looking for us to help them in many respects. We've got some interesting developments happening. We've got some, as I say, arguably some quite exciting projects that we're developing, but they've got to go through their own life cycle before we can start really looking out.
So to finish with, I mean, will we be talking about this still in how many years' time, or have you got a rough idea when you think that it might be up and running? I'm not holding you to it, but have you got?
Hopefully during my lifetime. That would be a good start.
These things can take a long time.
Yeah, we're quite fortunate because, as I said earlier, we have a certain degree of complementary skill sets as creative people. What allows us to hit the ground running in particular is that we're able to produce some commercial content as well. I mean, this is a big growth area, is content for corporates and to create infomercials, ads, and so on and so forth. There's quite a bit of that sort of work for us to.
You can fill the Manx TV channel if it ever arrives.
Well, exactly. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So from a practical angle, that's something that starts early. Documentaries are relatively quick for us to get
So what,
get into
5,
place.
10 years, I mean, less?
No, I'd say, I mean, we expect to be really producing stuff within the next year.
Fantastic.
I mean, that's and in fact, we're already doing it. You know, I'm here. We're actually doing some filming at the moment.
Well, we're going to call ourselves. What's a big sign going to be over Douglas? You know, we've obviously got Hollywood or Bollywood and these sort of things around the world. What?
I will leave that to you, Paul. Yeah.
We'll think about that one. But do keep in touch and do update us.
Absolutely. No, thank you very much for giving us some time. Yeah.